Rick Riddell is joining us right now. So, Rick, I want to go right to you on the debate tonight. Most of our audience is going to be the type of audience that tunes in. They are concerned. There is a concern, though, that I want to get your thoughts on. That it kind of permeates through. I see in all the comments. I see it in callers waiting to talk to us tonight. And that is that this is CNN, and it's under CNN's control, and it's under CNN's moderators' control. And that the next debate is if it goes through in September, is ABC's control. And that this is going to be another kind of partisan attack on Donald Trump, and it's really 3 against 1. I mean, how do you feel about that? Because obviously the campaign and the Trump campaign decided to go into this. They didn't say, and I don't think Donald Trump himself is afraid of that setting, but I see how our viewers, our supporters, our listeners could be concerned about that kind of hostility towards President Trump tonight.
Well, I think from 2016, it's been like 50-1. The media is completely against Donald Trump and Republicans. We know that. The most powerful person in that room tonight is going to be the sound engineer who gets to cut off sound. I'd like to know if he or she is a partisan Democrat. Look, this whole setup is a way to get Donald Trump, but they've been trying to do that for a very long time. I think it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of people and a lot of manipulation to try to convince the American people that we're not at war and gas prices are low. They've got a huge bar to try to convince people that things are going well. We see, we hear, and we feel that things are not going well at all. And so you have an entire team and media in Washington that have to try to defy reality in order to win.
Yeah, especially when you're actually talking about the issues and the facts and the numbers. And we also know, though, and I think, this is part of the risk analysis that you have to do as a campaign, Rick, is that if Donald Trump has a strong night and you're able to walk into CNN with the feel like that, and the people realize that, most of those people don't agree with you, don't even like you, but strongly disagree with your ideology too and where you are on the issues. If you come out strong, it's almost like a double win for the Republican, less so for the Democrat. If Joe Biden surviving tonight is not some great victory for Joe Biden, because he's got, as you said, a lot of support there, people who might prop him up, help him out with words. We'll see which Joe Biden shows up tonight too. And we've seen different Joe Biden show up at debates before, even 4 years ago. What should people be looking out for issue-wise? What do you want to see kind of the focus, and where do you think the American people? I think it's issues like the economy. I think it's the border and the wars that are going on, and how we see it into those wars as well.
Yeah, look, I think that the media and the Democrats are in a dangerous position here by lowering the bar and saying, if Joe Biden doesn't make mistakes and just gets through it, he's a winner. Are you kidding me? We have high gas prices. Inflation is out of control. Have you been to the grocery store lately? Have you seen the wars that we're in? If Joe Biden just survives tonight, it's going to remind people that he's not doing anything to help us have better lives. I think Joe Biden has an incredible high bar tonight. He's got to try to convince people that his multiple wars is good for them. He has to try to convince people that shutting down energy in America is not the reason we have high gas prices. He's got to convince people that his terrible policies and spending are somehow not the cause of our high grocery bills, and that the killings that we're watching are not because he's got an open border. I don't care if he survives. I don't care if he barely is able to get by and he doesn't make any moments where he glitches. The economy and the border and world affairs are terrible. He better tell us why we're going through this mess. I don't think he can ever convince us that going through this mess is the right thing.
Rick, an interesting timing for this debate is that we had squad member Jamal Bowman lose his primary fight in New York this week. So at a time where Joe Biden had been increasingly flirting with the left, the far left of the party, and adopting many of the policies that radical wing of the party wanted him to adopt, now you see that one of the most outspoken, whether in terms of anti-Semitic rhetoric or the actions that they take, actually fell in their election because of how progressive they were portraying themselves. Do you think that there's a calculation by the Biden team that maybe we need to pull back on looking so progressive, or do you think tonight he leans into that full bore?
It's a good question, and I would say that from watching, I think Democratic leaders think that they should be pulling back, but it's too late for Joe Biden to pull back. He's already gone full on in with these crazy, wacko, radical, woke ideas. He can't change horses now. What they have to try to do is really get their radical, woke voters out to the polls and try to convince people that, this is a base election. Look, my attitude is he's already lost. He's lost because gas prices and grocery bills and the open border and a war haven't been able to change, and we're going into July. He's not going to be able to change those. He's not going to be able to spin his way out. But I do believe that people like James Carville and others are beginning to say, we're going down a terrible woke road. We're way too far left. We're going to have to change. But I think that's a message for after Joe Biden loses. They're starting that messaging now. Joe Biden can't change directions at this point. It's way too late.
Rick, just to kind of a final question for you, and then we'll, of course, do all the analysis tomorrow after we actually get the hour-and-a-half debate, is you've been in these prep before. We know Donald Trump preps differently. Joe Biden probably in a much more traditional ways, but doing this kind of segregated way at Camp David. But the idea here, again, is you have a former president and he did not have this before, with a record of peace in the Middle East, a record of low gas prices, a booming economy. We get hit by COVID, sure. And I think he's going to have to discuss too the legal challenges. It's going to definitely come up, but that is different than most candidates have had when they go up against a Democratic incumbent in the past. And so there is a real contrast there, and Jake Tapper can't ignore that.
Yeah, you got to be able to point to the facts of what President Trump's record actually was. This is a unique situation because we've got a president versus a president, and they both have records. It's not promises of what they might do. It's actually evaluating what they did do. And that's fundamentally different. I think the reality, too, is that Joe Biden is trying to memorize lines and stats. And Donald Trump is talking to people to make sure that he understands all of the issues. That's going to come very clearly through tonight, because Donald Trump is going to be able to dig into issues in real time, respond. Joe Biden is going to be looking to memorize a quip or a line.
No, I think you're going to see a lot of that tonight, too. Joe Biden, that's kind of what we've seen from him in the past, too. It's a lot of lines, repeat those lines, try to get people, to think about that, repeat numbers, go that way. And Donald Trump actually going right into issues and not being afraid to kind of actually go right to the facts, and even disagree with, and say, we could have done this better, you could do that better. Get into the issues. And you actually see the thought process a lot more, which I think the American people like. Rick, we'll get you back tomorrow, too, to get the full breakdown of this debate tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, folks. So thanks, Rick, for joining us for pre-debate, and we'll get you for post-debate analysis as well.